everyone, it's Cornisha Syrup, and I'm making sure my ears are covered. I don't want people to see. I'm really self-conscious, and I can't help but be silly. I think everything is just. By the way, this is it's a serious video. It's supposed to be serious, or rather, it's just my real thoughts about something, and I want to share. Like I make a video every day, and a short. Now, why do I make a short every day? I mean, and a video. That's because I just decided to do that. So for a while, I just didn't create for a long time. It's a long story, but due to my inability to interface with a lot of human beings, because most humans operate in a way that makes it impossible for me to interface with them in my current state. When I'm around other people who are like me, we can, it makes it a billion times easier for me to interface with normal people. But if it's just me, then it's literally impossible. I can't do it on my own because humans are just too programmed. The majority of them, like 95% of population, are literally programmed to interact in a way that's just based on what other people are doing. And if you do anything that's different from that, they're going to be not only offended by you, but they're going to be terrified of you, and they're going to get mad at you all the time, and they're going to, they're just not going to talk to you at all. And that, it's just how it is. And so for a long time, I just didn't create anything. However, one day, I was living in a situation where it was an Airbnb where they had a bunch of bunk beds, and I just lived there because I needed to live in that situation due to circumstances beyond my control. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't get in. I didn't know how to like interview for like, a rental room for my own. So I didn't know what to do at the time. So I just stayed there for a while. And there was a woman who came into the Airbnb, and she was a tarot card reader. And so I decided, oh, that I like that. That's fun. I want to do that. So I decided to get a reading from her, and she told me that in the reading, you should create something every day, like a work of art, writing or music or whatever, right? Something creative. So, for a long time, I just didn't create anything because I feel like I feel like not only do most humans not appreciate real creativity, they actually are against it. And I don't think that. It's just a truth. It's just a fact. If you look on the internet, you look everywhere. People hate you if you think creatively because most people don't think creatively. They're stupid, boring, bland, and awful. That's why they do normal jobs. Which doesn't mean they're bad for doing normal jobs, but you got to accept that some people aren't going to do what everyone else is doing. They're creative, and so they think about things differently from you. But most normal people don't understand how that is. So they just get mad at you if you're creative. And I'm not saying that to be rude. I'm just saying that because that's a fact. I've experienced that my whole life. As a reasonably older person. And so, but at the for some reason, I took what she said very. I don't know. I just felt, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. So I just started because I felt like there was a pressure, the spiritual pressure. I'm always trying to do what the divine wants me to do on earth. I'm a spiritual person, so I thought, okay, I thought that's a good idea. I should just make create things. So that's when I started, I believe, just creating art every day in a piece of art, so or a drawing or something like that. And I did. I think it was every day, or at least quite often. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's every day. So I made a lot of art, um, and then I started watching streamers and I started learning they how they create, because that's an interesting job. Streaming is an interesting job because you get on there and you just have to just go and be whatever you are, right? You just gotta entertain people. And it always fascinated me that they just get on and they entertain, and just with their personality. And sometimes these streamers, they just get in and they just, it doesn't make logical sense. They're not that interesting. They're just talking about their day, but somehow just the fact that they're just there talking about their day and being who they are is interesting. And I always found that it didn't make sense logically, but it does make sense on a somehow on a spiritual level or some kind of magical level that I don't. It's not logical. It just works somehow. It's like when I did theater and acting. Sometimes, I would just do acting or theater, and then it would just, I'd plan it the whole time, and then I get on and I do things that I didn't plan at all, and it was really interesting, way more interesting than I thought it would be. So it always fascinating to me. So the more I watched these streamers, the more I wanted to create, and I joined their discords, and also VTubers, of course, which I suppose I would just say are also streamers, and I learned from uh, the streamers and the VTubers and their fans, and I learned what they liked and what was interesting to them, I tried, and I was inspired by them, and so I started creating more and more every day, and then I added little captions to my art, and then I finally was able to create an X account, because that's where a lot of creators put their art, and so I started doing that, and then I added, like, what was it? Oh, that's right. So always did a drawing with a little caption that was, just I just write whatever comes out. It's like when you're drawing. When I'm drawing, I'm just drawing, and then something comes out, and I don't really question it. I just let it go and then put it out. I just make sure that it's not against. It's not. It's not you know too problematic with the words, because there, you have to write things and say things in ways that aren't too problematic. So I try to do things in ways that are within a certain boundaries so that I can put it out, but also trying being what I think is my style and who I am. It's a tricky thing, but you figure out how to do it over the longer you do it, and the more you do it. I've learned anyway, and so I decided to continue with this art, a creative thing, and I added. Um, well, I do every day. I do a piece of art, and then also at some point, I added. Yeah, it was like I just did a random thing. Like I would add a picture and then I'd add a caption, or I would write something about celebrity gossip, and then I put a picture of the celebrities, and I add that because I think it's interesting or funny. And then also, uh, I realized in the Discord servers that they have photo, and I was like, oh wait a minute, photo is also art, and nobody was posting on there, so I said, oh, I'll post a photo every day too, and then I'll add a caption to it. And then I finally decided to finally add. Well, I added videos a while ago, but I just a few weeks ago added the face videos because I wanted to have movement, because I watch a lot of VTubers. If you notice me in VTuber chat rooms, I have like a billion emotes from different VTubers. Of course, they're all gifted subs because I can't afford any, real subs except for the Prime sub. So I just put my, get the gift subs because I'm in the chat. I'm just in the chat room. I'm just constantly getting inspiration from them because they're very interesting. They're very interesting if you can just watch them for inspiration and not for, whatever else people watch them for. I just watch them because they're interesting and funny and creative. So, and with also regular streamers. And so, I wanted to be a VTuber with my corn avatar. If you see in my YouTube profile, I have a corn avatar that's a gay transgender corn avatar, which is very haha flamboyant. It really feels like who I am. Although it's jokingly, I say I'm gay and transgender because it's funny to me because people are so obsessed with, again, these weird identities because they can't just be themselves, so they make up an identity to get obsessed with instead of just being themselves. But I think that's funny. But so I did. You will look back some of my Fortnite videos and such. You will see I used a little PNG avatar of my corn that I drew. But then it just didn't. I didn't feel like it worked. It was just, to me, it was just boring and annoying, and it's just this stiff drawing, moving back and forth. It just doesn't. There's no point to it. Doesn't seem like. So I did want to make a little corn VTuber models, but I didn't know how to do that. The rigging a model so that it moves around is more complicated than I want to. I'm very lazy. But I didn't want to put my face out there because I hear all the horror stories of people doxing and doing all sorts of bad things with your face, and because humans are just insane. But I don't know. I just said, I discussed it with certain people who I think are reasonable, and I just decided to just start because I wanted to create more. And again, if you look at my X, I don't have almost basically any followers, and on my YouTube or anywhere, because I don't expect anyone to really follow or watch my videos, but they can if they want. I just do it because I feel a compulsion from the universe or whatever to create. So I feel like the more I get comfortable creating, the more I want to create, just because I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like a spiritual thing. I feel spiritually guided by the divine to create, and I just want to create, and whether or not people see it or not, it doesn't matter. I'm just creating, and some people will see it, and that's it. I don't know. I'm just doing it because why not? I just think it's fun, and I think, and also it's sad to me that a lot of creative people can't really create because it's so harsh to be creating in our world right now, because the normal people and the people who are even less than normal with their brain, and also especially most people have no creativity whatsoever. So they think, like someone told me, that people who create are magical, like magical. It's crazy to me. It's not magic. Some people are just creative. Some people aren't. Or most people aren't, I'd say, probably. And so I'm just, I feel like not enough people create who are creative, and maybe this will inspire them to create and just create things, because I don't know. I've been disabled my whole life according to society, so I can't do anything else in the world. I'm kind of basically isolated in the room. But I can, you know, at least do this because I can't interface with humans because they're crazy. But I can at least put something out here, and maybe it will open up something in people's hearts for them individually to create, and then we'll get more creators who just create for the fact of creating. I'm always happy to see more creation. It doesn't matter if it's just a stick figure or a couple words on a page. Everything's creative to me. So that's all. I wanted to just share that. That's why I started making face videos. I just wanted to branch out. Every day I make a video every day and a short every day, along with my piece of art, my little commentary piece on whatever I find on the internet, and then a photo. And they all have little captions. And oh yes, and you'll see also Shining Nikki. I make a couple 2 or 3 times a week. I make a Shining Nikki photo in the game because that's also a piece of art. So it's always fun to create, and I just hope at some point we can find a way to bring creativity and intelligence back into authority positions, and not all these awful, dumb, uncreative, I mean, literal evil people who basically try to destroy the education system, destroy intellectual curiosity, and destroy all creativity. Like, literally, they're just evil people. And I would just say, basically, Democrats, Republicans too, and conservatives, but mostly liberals are just, they hate anything that has anything to do with creativity, that has anything to do with questioning anything, because they just like to control everything and destroy basically the entire world because they're just crazy and they only care about pretending to care and not actually caring about really what matters. And so I guess it's a way to open up and be creative and fight against something. Maybe. I don't know. I'm just doing it. I don't know. I'm just theorizing. But I just try to feel what I need to do, and I try to just put it out there so people can see. And I'm not afraid, right? I'm not afraid that people make fun of me, because I was homeless for a long time. I was homeless for about 10 years. And so people generally just make fun of me, and people hate me, and people want me to be, destroyed and eliminated because I just exist and I question reality, and that makes them mad. So that's fine, right? But I'm trying to stay alive because the divine wants me alive. So I'm just here, and I'm opening up through meditation and creativity. And so if you feel like creating, go ahead. But don't feel pushed. Don't feel like you have to. But hopefully at some point we'll get more creative people together, and we'll be able to create, because I feel like that'll help not just the creative people, but literally the whole world needs more educated people and creative people putting out things instead of these terrible, evil, normal people and below average people who they're just awful, selfish narcissists. So that's all. And remember, it doesn't matter if you're fat or gay or, or you like Donald Trump or you like whatever, Christianity or atheism or whatever. It's fine. Just create. Just be an individual. It doesn't matter if you have an identity. Just create. That's all I say. But only if you're comfortable. That's what I do. Thank you. Have a good time in the world.